All right, guys, this is number 3. We are actually explaining what baptism is all about, and we are taking just from one chapter. Paul is explaining all of that. So we were speaking, last we were talking about the fact that you are united. When Jesus was there on the cross and you are under the water, you are united with Christ. But verse 6 says that, for we know that our old self was crucified with him, so that the body ruled by sin might be done away with. It means you are no longer going to sin anymore, because this body, this flesh, this strong flesh is no longer, guys, is no longer subject to sin. Why? Your mind is strong, is stronger than the desire of the flesh. You are not empty-minded, guys. Only an empty-minded person will continue in sin after baptism, because you understand what baptism is all about. You understand? Now, there's no need to get baptized if you're not going to be saved. There's no need. So here we're simply speaking about baptism. We're not talking about salvation, but we know that there's no need to get baptized if you're not going to be saved. That is a joke. But baptism is now saying, I identify, I understand. Oh, so I'm no longer going to continue with that alcohol. Guys, wine is not sin. You can take wine even if you are saved. But the problem is that people are drunkards. People, guys, are drunkards. Hey, it's Friday, we're going to drink, and Sunday we're going to church to delete our sins. Where? Which church? You're joking, right? There's no way of deleting sins. You're not supposed to be a drunkard. It's simple as that. It's simple as that. If you don't know how to balance it, especially if you were an alcoholic, don't just, oh well, I'm taking wine. Don't do it, because at that time you are not strong enough to fight the temptation. Guys, temptations are very fast, are very strong. Do not tempt yourself. Do not tempt yourself. If you were like that with drinking Monday to Monday, you drinking, you understand. And those who drink on weekend, they say, oh well, I don't drink every day, I only drink on weekends. You are a drunkard. It's simple as that. Guys, you might call it something else because it makes you sleep better at night. You are a drunkard. The mere fact that Friday to Sunday you're busy drinking, it means you are a drunkard. It's simple as that, guys. Case closed. Meeting adjourned. You understand? So if you had a problem with alcohol before, don't tempt yourself. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. But taking wine once in a while is not a problem. But because people are hypocrites. People, guys, are hypocrites. The world is filled with hypocrites. The world, guys, is actually a place of hypocrites. They will keep that wine and say, oh no, I'm not a drunkard, I'm just taking wine. They're lying through their teeth. Who are they lying to? Jesus? You're joking. You're lying to that dude. Guys, you're lying to someone who can just come in with doors closed, who can just come in through walls. You're joking. You're joking, right? So you need to understand those things, that when you're underwater, guys, here we're speaking about being underwater. What does that mean? It means when you wake up, you call your friends. My friends no longer call me. Why? I've been underwater. Don't explain. I've been underwater. Don't be like me. Me, guys, I left my friends without explaining things. I left them. Guys, they were good friends. I love my friends, guys. I remember I cried sometimes. I shed tears. Guys. I shed tears, guys. I shed tears. Believe you me, guys. Even family members, just because the person is a family member, if a person is not in line with the message of Christ, you have to, stay away. Even though it won't be the same because it's a family member, but still you stay away. You understand? Because you are telling the person that Jesus is not in line with what you are doing, especially if you are called. Because when you're called and people are doing their own things and you are busy fraternizing and socializing with them, in their minds it's like, oh well, because she's called and she's okay with it, then God is fine with it. No, you read the word still remains the only source of information. I might be wrong, he is not wrong. You understand? Nevertheless, because I'm called, I even had to dissociate with even family members that I love. Guys, I love them. I've shed tears. Guys, when you shed tears, even for my friends, guys, I shed tears. When I left them, I shed tears because I realized they are not in line with this. And now that I've been underwater, I have to live a different life, a new life Why? Because Paul explains to us what baptism is all about. You understand? So now I'm living a new life. So I shed tears, I cried. So you will shed tears for your friends as well. You know, guys, Jesus is not asking you to leave your friends because they've done wrongs to you. Jesus is not asking you to leave your friends, your family members, because they've done wrong things to you. No, that absolutely, guys. In fact, I don't think there's anyone in life who's really wronged me. But I've stayed away from people because I realized that if I'm going to keep them, I'm going to lose Jesus, because people want to continue in sin and still keep Jesus. Unfortunately, Jesus and sin, it's water and diesel. It's just unfortunate. It's up to you what you do about it. But if you love him that much, you will make sure that you protect his space, because you are the temple of God. So you need to make sure that his space, you allow him to live in this conducive place. You understand? He's able to live freely in you. You understand? So it's important to explain all of those things. So when you were underwater, you wake up and you call all those people. At first, the people you understand that, well, this one is wrong, is wrong, is wrong. And as time goes, Jesus will explain, because people go to church, but believe me, they are not learning what they should be learning. So people in churches are sinners. In fact, churches are filled with sinners. Churches are filled with unbelievers. It's just simple as that, guys. I call them believing unbelievers. So at the end of the day, you're not going to run away from people of the world, but you're going to be running away from people, because guys, there is a place where Paul speaks. I think it's Corinthians as well. Yes, he speaks about the fact that if you realize that a Christian is not living a life that is worthy of a Christian, you don't even have to eat with that person. You don't even have to eat with that person. Once I remember that scripture, guys, the way it is, I will actually make a podcast with it. So you don't even have to eat with that person, because you've realized that this person is not in line with Jesus' teachings. You understand? Paul actually says, I'm not telling you to get away from people of the world, because if that's the case, you'll have to get out of the world. No, but he's saying that get away from people who call themselves brothers and sisters. Why? Those people are hypocrites. They are claiming to be with Jesus, yet they are living a life that is contrary to what Jesus is saying, meaning they are hypocrites. Now, what I'm saying is that churches are not preaching what Jesus is in line with. Therefore, churches are not producing godly people. Churches are not producing kingdom people. Churches are actually producing hypocrites. Then you will have to get away from church-going people. It's simple as that. Is it easy? Guys, it's difficult. Believe me. There comes a time where you miss to be around people, where you miss fellowshipping with people. But now you're fellowshipping with people who are doing the very things that you were told not to do. It means you are now fellowshipping with hypocrites, and Christ is no longer there. You're wasting your time. Why go to a place where Christ is no longer in? Guys. So for we know that our old self was crucified with him, so that the body ruled by sin might be done away with, that we should no longer be slaves to sin. Because, guys, a person who is a slave to sin is a person, guys, that person actually belongs to Satan. That's why Jesus was telling them in the Gospel of John 8. He says that you are slaves. And they were like, well, we belong to Abraham, we're not slaves. Jesus says you are slaves. Why? Because you are a sinner. A sinner cannot remain in the family forever, because a sinner, guys, get kicked out of the kingdom of heaven, because you cannot continue in sin when you belong to the kingdom of heaven. That's why he says, children, do not sin, but if you do sin, there is blood. And then it says, once you know sin and you continue in sin, they no longer remain sacrifice. Meaning, once you get saved, guys, blood starts running out. You understand? Then verse 7 says, because anyone who has died has been set free from sin. It means you are dead. The reason you are not doing these things, so when they sit you down and asking you, why are you no longer doing these things? It's simple. Because I'm dead to sin. Because anyone who has died has been set free from sin. I'm dead. You tell them, because I'm dead. Well, you're living like a dead person. Yes, I'm dead. That's why I live like a dead person, because I am dead. You are actually not wrong. Guys, sometimes people are offended, especially when you start obeying Christ and people start saying negative things. You're no longer doing this, you're no longer doing that, and you are now a dead person. Yes, I'm dead. You're not wrong. You actually said exactly what you should be saying. I am dead. So a dead person can't sin anymore. Why? You are living a new life. Verse 8. Now, if we died with Christ, we believe that we will also live with him. So now, guys, you understand that if you've died with this man, you also know that you're going to live with him. It means you are now doing the things that Jesus wants you to do. Only. For we know that since Christ was raised from the dead, he cannot again die. Death no longer has mastery over him. That's why I always say that I'm happy with that dude being my Lord, because he is the perfect high priest who's no longer here on earth, who's no longer given problems by the flesh. You understand? He's the perfect high priest who's sitting at the right hand of God. Yes, he was tested in every way like I am, but he conquered. You understand? But he's no longer here. He has died to sin. And I was saying once that people need to start, boycotting and again asking Christ to come back to die for them, because people sinned on purpose. They were no longer sinning in ignorance, because sinning in ignorance, you get forgiven. You will be forgiven when you sin in ignorance, because where there is no law, sin is not taken into account. But people continued in sin after going to church and learning Jesus's knowledge. They continued in sin, so they died again on purpose. They now need a new blood from Jesus. People should be in fact, people who going to church, they should be boycotting, asking Jesus to come back and die again for their new sins, because these ones are not forgiven. Jesus forgave them for the sins in ignorance. These ones they committed, they're dead, no longer to be saved again. You understand? So, for we know that since Christ was raised from the dead, he cannot die again. Death no longer has mastery over him. You understand? So, you are dead like him. He's dead. He's no longer here. So, you've got a great high priest who's not here on earth. Who's not going to sin. That's why I was speaking in that podcast when I was speaking about churches. I was saying that sometimes people, choose their own people, to worship, and I was like, what if the person is busy with number 2? What if the person is busy with number 3 in the toilet, and you're busy praying to the person who's here on earth, who is sinning? Maybe the person is even fornicating, having sex with someone, and you're busy praying to them. You understand, guys? So we have a high priest, a guy who doesn't sleep or slumber, a guy who is sitting there, who was tempted in every way as we were, but now he doesn't. He's sitting at the right hand of the Father, and he can't sin anymore. You understand? And you have that kind of a person who's died to sin, who can't sin anymore, and you are like him. That death he died to sin once for all, but the life he lives to God. He's sitting there, guys. Let me stop here, and we'll continue next. Thank you.